Patreon. So, our beloved Fingernail said, my biggest concern is the time it would take to efficiently or effectively bug out with 6 people. I have some commentary on this. He and I have already discussed this, and so without opsecking him, I will give you some broad strokes as to my recommendations for if you have a boatload of people that you need to bug out with, how do you do it? So when we were in North Texas, I had a wife and 3 kids and a bug out plan. And the cornerstone of that bug out plan was a small 5x7 trailer, 5 foot wide, 7 foot long. Weighs nothing, cost us nothing. I think we got it for $300. And in Texas, you have to register trailers, and it still had 2 years left on the registration. Private sale. So that was awesome. And I bought it because a brother of mine was moving and didn't need it anymore. For $300, I'll figure out something to do with this thing, little itty bitty trailer. Well, I have since moved sheep with it, and compost, and wood chips, and lumber, and everything else that one would use a trailer for. But at the time, it lived in our garage in suburbia. And on it, I stacked all the things. All the things. Our tent, our sleeping bags. Sleeping bags were in a 55-gallon drum liner, square knotted at the end. Camp chairs, camp cookery, and I would take these big blue Rubbermaid totes, and in this one I would put the camp stove, and then some bottles of propane, and then cast iron skillet, and a Dutch oven, and a handful of other things, maybe some charcoal briquettes, and blah blah blah, and boom, that's camp cookery. Long handled utensils, that's in this tote. And then you put the tote together, and then you duct tape the lid to the tote so it doesn't blow off, because it will. Ask me how I know, right? And so that one's camp cookery. And then one would be like food, bug out food. So shelf stable things, so forth and so on. Clothing, right? You got 3 kids and a wife. Yeah, you might be out there in your boots and your boonie hat wearing the same pair of BDU pants for the next 92 days. Not so much with kids. We had an infant at the time, so one of those was just baby stuff. Diapers, wipes, rags, formula, blah, 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 right? Baby stuff. And so on this little trailer, I had all these blue totes as well as the things that we needed, the big tent and the camp chairs and yeah, do we need camp chairs? No, we don't need them, but boy, they're nice to have. One of the first things that I do when I go out into the wilderness is manufacture something to sit on. I'm not crazy about sitting on the ground. No, I can do it, but I prefer to have something to sit on. So manufacture something to sit on, which is another topic for another time. But boy, paracord's useful in that respect. So we had all this stuff on the trailer, and the reason that we kept all this stuff on the trailer was, I didn't have to think about, well, when we bug out, what are we going to bug out with? Well, we should take this, and I removed all of the decision making from the bug out process because those decisions were made before we bug out. The trailer's preloaded, okay? And there was a checklist that went with the trailer. Now, all of that was built around our particular needs as a family. Like, for example, the baby tote. If you don't have a baby, you don't need a baby tote. But maybe you have somebody who has a certain type of illness or disability, that like somebody who has needs other than common needs. Well, make a special tote for them. This is their stuff. Cool. Or whatever, right? You know what you need. Put it in totes, stack it on the trailer. And this is just one way to deal with this problem. Point being, it's all pre-staged. It's all on the trailer, ready to go. We had a spare tire on the trailer. We had a little 12-volt compressor in my wife's car that if, we ever needed, one of the tires ran soft. We had Fix-A-Flat. We had a whole car kit put together with like Fix-A-Flat and road triangles and jumper cables and a chain and yada, 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 right? We had all that on the trailer, ready to go. Okay, this is not a drill. It's time to bug out. What are we gonna do? Wife, put the kids in the car. The same thing we would do if we were gonna go to Walmart or go visit grandma or drive halfway across the country. Wife, you just put the kids in the car. That's it. Put them in the car. I'm going to go into the garage, raise the garage door, okay? And all the bug out bags are pre-staged. Back hatch of my wife's SUV comes open. The bug out bags get thrown into the back hatch. I pick up the tongue of this little trailer. It doesn't weigh much. I think the whole thing loaded down was like 300 pounds-ish, maybe. I think I have some pics of it somewhere, but don't hold your breath. I probably won't find them. If I find them, I may do a write-up on it, but that's a big if, right? So I would pick up the tongue of the trailer, drop it on the ball of the tow hitch on my wife's car. If my wife had nose towards the garage, she would turn her car around, back up, throw the bug out bags in the back of the car, hook up the trailer, pull forward, close the garage door. Man, we're good to go. We're good to go. I got food, water, shelter, security, my line gear. I've got commo, I've got first aid, I've got spare fuel, I've got all of it ready to go on this trailer. Now, boom, we're done. We're bugging out. Go route B to location Z, right? Whatever. Figure out where you're going, which is a whole nother topic for another time, but where am I going? How am I getting there is something that you should really know now, right? If you have a bug out vehicle and bug out bags and bug out kit and all the bug out stuff, but you don't have a bug out location or a bug out plan, you've done the steps in reverse. The first thing you need to know is, where am I going? Right? You need to answer that question. And I know I've hit this a bajillion times, and we'll probably have to hit it a bajillion more times, because if it takes me saying something to you 100 times for you to do it, good, we'll say it 100 times. You need to know where you're going. Once you know where you're going, you can figure out how you're getting there, and you should have multiple routes to and from that place, right? PACE, primary, alternate, contingency, emergency. What do you do if, for example, we've had lots of heavy rain in our area lately? What do you do if you're gonna go down this road and it's washed out? Okay, now what? Right? So there's multiple reasons to have multiple routes, not just, the Panamanian paratroopers landed in the middle of the road and have got to shut it down and it's a checkpoint, bro. It's like, it could be high water. It could be a tree across the road. It could be all kinds of things, right? So have multiple routes in and out. So a bug out location, then based around the bug out location, you figure out your bug out plan, which is, how am I getting there? Who am I taking there? And what do I need to sustain life in between there, right? And then your bug out kit and your bug out vehicle is all built to meet the needs of the bug out plan, which is predicated on the bug out location. So, all that being said, based upon where we were, the best words, tremendous. This guy behind me doesn't even know he's on YouTube. Well, he's on Patreon. Oh well. Based upon where we were going and what we were doing, this trailer full of stuff, they were all necessities, right? It's base camp. And by taking the trailer, there's lots of extra things I can take. Water's heavy. I can take lots of extra water in a vehicle-borne system, right? Ammunition is heavy. Fuel is heavy. Food is heavy. But I got a trailer with me, man. I can pack that thing down. I'm good to go, right? And so I've got my bug out bags we'll just say hypothetically, in the back of the vehicle, right? And that's got all my basics for 72 hours for every member of the family, including a baby bag, right? Which if I needed the baby bag, I don't expect the baby to carry it, but I could lash it onto my bag or my wife's bag. And my pack is the heaviest pack because I'm the guy, right? And I ruck and I do the things. Everybody else, no more than 20% of their body weight. So if you got a kid that weighs 50 pounds, man, you're talking a 10-pound ruck max. Well, what are they going to carry? A blanket, a little bit of food, right? If your kids are old enough, their own knife, right? Flashlight, ground sheet, change of clothes. You're at 10 pounds. Bottle of water, that's 10 pounds. But good. Every pound that they're carrying is a pound you don't have to carry, and it gives them a little bit of personal responsibility, and it gives them something to have dominion over. Okay, this is my pack. Cool, set it up however you want, just it's your pack, you're responsible for it. So all that to say that I realized upon multiple iterations of trying to bug out with my family, including an infant, that if this was a true emergency, we're not getting out the door all that quickly. And a lot of that was on me. I wanted to think that it was my wife's fault. How come you can't get the kids in the car fast enough? It's like, man, it's like trying to go to church. It takes 5 minutes to get 3 kids into a vehicle, the end. Like, no matter what, Harlan is gonna walk in that annoyingly slow preteen male walk, regardless of whether or not the world is ending, right? No matter how hard I scream at him, and I do sometimes, move! It's like, he's still just, not moving that fast, like molasses in January. So, to short circuit all of that, the time that it would take for me to pick through, and this thing goes here, and we should bring this thing, and I need to have this thing, and I need a rifle, and blah, 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 blah. All that stuff's pre-staged on the trailer. And the bug out bags are pre-staged in the garage next to the trailer or on top of the trailer. And it's simple, man. It's 5 minutes. And the amount of time that it takes my wife to buckle the kids in, I have everything I need pre-staged, ready to go. I hook that trailer to the back of the vehicle. I throw those bug out bags in the back of the vehicle, man, and we go. You combine that with a squared away bug out vehicle policy, which, for me is pretty simple. Like, keep fuel in your vehicle. I've said repeatedly, I don't like my truck getting below 3/4 of a tank. By half a tank, I'm looking for fuel, right? And I'm getting better at keeping my wife to have a half a tank or more in her vehicle as well, right? So have fuel. Make sure your vehicle's in good repair. Radios, first aid kits, spare tire that fits your vehicle, and a lug wrench that fits the lugs on your vehicle, and the jack, a tow strap, recovery strap, a chain, something like that. Maybe a small 12-volt air compressor, some fix-a-flat tire plugs, a little bit of tooling, a flashlight. You're good to go. Like, that's applicable for everything from, an F550 flatbed down to a Toyota Tercel, right? The end. So you combine all that together and you got a pretty comprehensive bug out system. You marry that to a bug out plan and you can implement it pretty quick. Honey, you get the kids in the car, I got everything else. And you getting everything else is you doing the work now that you can put the stuff in the vehicle quick. Hook the trailer up quick. And it's all preloaded, ready to go. And you know what you got. You got a list of your stuff, a list of things that you need, ready to go. So that's not the only way, but that's the way that we handled that for our family. And it really took a weight off my chest. So I would encourage you to think in that direction. I mean, if it's not that, maybe it's a pallet full of stuff and you got a tractor and forks and a pickup truck because you're agricultural. Cool. Load that pallet up. That's my bug out pallet. When it's go time, I pick it up with the tractor and set it in the bed of the truck. Or I know Pastor Joe has talked about, he had a a pallet suspended, or he knew a guy who had a pallet suspended in the air in his barn, and if SHTF, he would lower it into the bed of his truck. So, things to think about. I think the real important part is doing the math now to figure out what you need and what you don't need when you bug out, so that you are short-circuiting that thinking process to where it's just automatic. When we bug out, we enact our bug out protocol. We grab these things and they go in this vehicle. The end. So, bless you guys. Shalom.